Hello everyone, Andy here. Welcome back to the channel. Today, we're heading to the Arctic, one of the most extreme, beautiful, and culturally rich regions on Earth. So first, what is the Arctic? The Arctic is the northern polar region of Earth, usually defined as the area north of the Arctic Circle, at about 66 degrees 33 minutes north latitude. And here's a cool detail. The word Arctic comes from the Greek word Arktikos, meaning near the bear, connected to Arctos, meaning bear, a reference to northern sky constellations like Ursa Major. The Arctic isn't just cold, it's a world of extremes. It has long winters, short summers, and huge seasonal light changes like the midnight sun and polar nights. On land, much of the Arctic is tundra, often treeless, with plants adapted to cold conditions and animals like Arctic foxes, caribou, lemmings, and polar bears. People have lived in the Arctic for thousands of years. Across the region, there are about 40+ indigenous groups, including communities such as the Inuit, Sami, Nenets, and many others, each with their own traditions and languages. And here's the best part. Arctic environments don't just shape survival, they shape culture and language too. In the Arctic, language carries knowledge about weather, sea ice, travel, animals, seasons, and place names, passed down through strong oral traditions and close community ties. So today, we're going to explore 13 Arctic and subarctic languages, and hear how each one reflects the northern world it comes from. Alright, let's jump into the list. First up, we're in Greenland, and we're starting with West Greenlandic, also called Kalaallisut. It belongs to the Inuit branch of the Eskimo Aleut or Inuit Yupik-Onangan language family, and it has about 57,000 speakers. Greenlandic arrived in Greenland with the Thule people around the 1200s, and today, Greenland has 3 major Inuit varieties: Kalaallisut or West, Tunumiisut or East, and Inuktun or Avanersuakmiutut or North. Inuktun is spoken by the Polar Inuits and is often treated as a separate language, not just a dialect of Kalaallisut. Kalaallisut is polysynthetic, meaning it builds long words by stacking suffixes, and it shows ergative alignment in its grammar. It's closely tied to Greenlandic Inuit identity and daily life. Daily life is centered on coastal towns and Arctic sea travel. Strong community identity supports language use at home and in public. Sea ice, storms, and long winters shape how people move and work. Local knowledge is passed down through family and community life. Kalaallisut is Greenland's official language and widely used in education and media. This keeps it strong across generations. Now, let's listen to a sample.
Ataaseq, marluk, pingasut, sisamat, tallimat, arfinillit, arfinermarluk, arfineq pingasut, qulingiluat, qulit.
Next up, we're in the Northwest Territories of Canada with the Dogrib, also known as Tlicho Yatıì. It's spoken by the Tlicho people, and it belongs to the northern Athabaskan branch of the Nadini language family, and it has about 1,735 speakers. The name is often linked to a traditional Tlicho origin story about ancestry connected to a supernatural dogman, which is why dog appears in the English name. Like many Athabaskan languages, it has complex verb morphology, packing a lot of meaning into the verb system. It remains closely tied to land-based traditions and community knowledge in the subarctic. Communities maintain strong traditions of land-based knowledge and local teaching. The language is closely tied to family and community life. Large distances and winter travel make navigation and place knowledge important. Seasonal cycles shape daily routines and cultural continuity. Many younger speakers grow up using English more in school and online. This reduces everyday transmission in some homes. Now, let's listen to a sample.
Ille, Nakhe, Tai, Din, Sinlai, Eketai, Shondin, Ekedin, Shotun, Honon.
Now, we're heading to the North Pacific coast with Coast Tsimshian, also known as Sm'algyax, a name that means the real or true language. It belongs to the Tsimshianic language family, a small group from northwestern North America that also includes Kitxan, Nivkh, and Southern Tsimshian. Today, Sm'algyax is spoken mainly in northwestern British Columbia and parts of southeastern Alaska, but it's now critically endangered, with only around 275 speakers in Canada and just 3 reported in the US. It's known for complex consonant systems, including glottalized consonants, and it's often described as polysynthetic. Coastal life is tied to fishing, rivers, and clan-based community structure. Oral tradition and cultural knowledge remain central to identity. Cold coastal seasons shape harvesting schedules and travel patterns. Place-based knowledge is traditionally maintained through storytelling and teaching. Speaker numbers are extremely low, and most fluent speakers are elders. Transmission to younger generations is limited today. Now, let's listen to a sample.
Gil,
Gubo,
Quili,
Chalk, Stunch,
Cold, Tap Cold, Yikudel, Kshtamosh.
Kpir,
Next up, Itelmen, or Itelmen, from the Kamchatka Peninsula in far eastern Russia. It belongs to the Chukotko-Kamchatkan family, and the 2020 census lists 808 speakers. Itelmen is the only surviving Kamchatkan language, making it crucial for understanding that language branch. Itelmen has a richer sound system than most other Chukotko-Kamchatkan languages, including some complex consonant clusters. It also uses a different type of vowel harmony from Chukchi and Koryak. There's no standardized form or separate literary variety. Life in Kamchatka is connected to local rivers, settlements, and regional traditions. The language is strongly tied to Itelmen identity. Geographic isolation and severe winters shaped long-term local continuity. Communities adapted to cold environments with highly localized knowledge. Speaker numbers are small and concentrated in a few places. This makes the language fragile, even with revitalization support. Now, let's listen to a sample.
Kuning, Kask, Chok, Chak, Kunuk, Keluk, Etuktunuk, Chooktunuk, Chaaktanak, Towasa.
Now, we're heading into northeast Siberia with southern Yukaghir, also called Kolyma Yukaghir. It belongs to the Yukaghir language family, and it had 50 speakers in 2003, with about 10 active speakers reported. Early sources suggest Yukaghir once formed a dialect continuum, with today's Kolyma and Tundra Yukaghir at opposite ends, and they aren't mutually intelligible. Yukaghir languages are agglutinative, strongly head-final, and Kolyma Yukaghir has been described as having split intransitive alignment. The language is tied to very small communities in northeastern Siberia. Cultural knowledge survives through close local networks. Seasonal life and harsh winters required detailed environmental knowledge. Community survival historically depended on local expertise and cooperation. Only a very small number of active speakers remain today. This places the language at extreme risk. Now, let's listen to a sample.
Irkyei, Atachloi, Yaloi, Ilekloi, Nyaganwoi, Malgaloi, Purtioi, Malgilekloi, Kunirtiljoi, Kuniloi.
Next up, Yakut, also called Sakha, from Russia's Sakha Republic or Yakutia. Yakut is a Turkic language spoken in northeastern Siberia that has preserved an unusually rich vowel harmony system with long vowels. And it contains many everyday loanwords from Evenki, a Tungusic language, and Russian. reflecting centuries of contact in the Arctic-subarctic region. Yakut preserves a core grammatical structure inherited from Old Turkic, despite extensive lexical and areal influence from neighboring Siberian languages, and it has around 450,000 speakers. Sakha culture is one of the strongest indigenous cultural presences in Siberia today. Sakha communities maintain strong regional cultural life and identity. Yakut is actively used in daily life alongside Russian. Extremely cold winters shaped resilience and seasonal planning. Oral tradition and cultural festivals support cultural continuity. Yakut has a larger speaker population and strong community use. It also has official recognition in the Sakha Republic. Now, let's listen to a sample.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Now to Evenki. Spoken across parts of Russia and China, Evenki is a severely endangered Tungusic language of Siberia. It has a highly developed system of spatial and directional verb suffixes, allowing a single verb to encode fine-grained information about movement, orientation, and landscape, such as moving upriver, downriver, or across terrain, a feature well attested in Tungusic linguistic descriptions and tied to traditional reindeer herding and hunting life. It is also highly agglutinative and has a rich case system. Evenki heritage is spread across a very wide territory in Siberia and parts of China. Communities historically depended on mobility and land knowledge. Forest and tundra environments require navigation skills and seasonal adaptation. Long distances reinforced the importance of oral teaching. Many communities shifted toward Russian or Chinese in education and public life. This has reduced intergenerational transmission. Now, let's listen to a sample.
Umukon, Sur, Elan, Tirin, Tanga, Nyungun, Natan, Chapkun, Yorin, Chan.
Next up, Nivkh. Nivkh is spoken in the Russian Far East, primarily along the lower Amur River and in northern Sakhalin. It consists of 2 or 3 major varieties that are not mutually intelligible. The language is generally classified as a language isolate, and according to the 2010 census, it had 198 native speakers. A well-known feature of Nivkh is its extensive consonant alternation system, in which word initial sounds change predictably depending on grammatical context, a rare and well-documented trait among Northern Eurasian languages. It is also well known for its distinctive structure and its rare status as an isolate in the region. Their identity is strongly tied to river and coastal life in the Russian Far East. Nivkh communities are tied to the river and coastal regions of Sakhalin and the Amur. Language remains strongly linked to identity and heritage. Cold maritime seasons shape local subsistence and movement patterns. Cultural knowledge is closely connected to the surrounding environment. Speaker numbers are extremely low today. This limits how widely the language is used in daily life. Now, let's listen to a sample.
Nyak, mek, tyak, mik, tok, ngach, ngamg, mimr, nyandor, mkhokr.
Now, we're heading to the North Pacific with Haida, the language of the Haida people. Haida is traditionally spoken on Haida Gwaii in British Columbia and parts of southeastern Alaska, and it's often classified as a language isolate. In the 2021 Canadian census, 245 people said they could speak Haida well enough to hold a conversation. One of Haida's standout sound features is its contrast between plain and adjective consonants, where sounds like ka and ka are separate phonemes, with ka pronounced using a glottalic, popping burst of air, something widely documented in Haida and other Northwest Coast languages. Haida has an especially complex phonological system, including adjectives, phonemic tone, and contrastive vowel length. And it also features a rare direct inverse alignment pattern in its verb grammar. Haida language is deeply connected to Haida identity, oral literature, and community knowledge along the northern Pacific coast. Haida communities are rooted in coastal island life with strong connections to the sea and local waters. Community identity and oral tradition remain central. Cold coastal seasons shape travel, harvesting, and seasonal routines. Place knowledge and history stay alive through storytelling. Most fluent speakers today are elderly, and intergenerational transmission has been limited, so the language is critically endangered. Now, let's listen to a sample.
Swansung, stung, honest, stansung, clash, claunch, jaguar, stansanga, class swansungu, clash.
Now, here's one of the rarest languages on Earth, Ket, or Ostoranaka. Ket is the last surviving Yeniseian language, spoken in Russia's Middle Yenisei region. Some references describe fewer than 30 speakers, while the 2020 census lists 153. Ket's biggest uniqueness is that it's the only living member of its entire language family. Here's something linguists find really exciting about Ket. It may be distantly related to the Na-Dene languages of North America, like Athabaskan, Tlingit, and Iyak. This proposed connection is called the Yeniseian hypothesis, and it's based on evidence from shared verb morphology and sets of proposed cognates found through historical comparison. Not everyone agrees yet, but it's considered one of the strongest serious proposals linking a Siberian language family with a North American one. Ket's communities live in small settlements in central Siberia. The language represents a rare and highly localized heritage. River-based life and isolation shaped long-term continuity. The environment supported a distinct regional cultural world. Fluent speakers are now very few. This makes Ket one of the most severely endangered languages in Siberia. Now, let's listen to a sample.
Kuşum, önüm, donum, şığım, kağım, aş, onç, koş.
Next is Nenets, one of the most important Arctic languages of Russia. It belongs to the Uralic family, specifically Sm'algyax, and it's spoken by the Nenets people. Speaker numbers are often summarized as 30 to 40,000 for tundra Nenets, and 1,000 to 1,500 for forest Nenets. Nenets is known for complex grammar and is major representative of the Sm'algyax branch. It has a rich case system with around 7 to 8 grammatical cases and makes extensive use of possessive suffixes, following nouns to encode ownership and grammatical relations directly, a well-documented feature of Sm'algyax languages tied to Nenets' nomadic culture. Nenets communities are strongly associated with tundra traditions and reindeer herding roots. Language use remains important in local cultural identity. Seasonal migration patterns shaped a culture built around timing and geography. Survival depends on knowledge of weather, land, and movement. Nenets has tens of thousands of speakers, making it stronger than many Arctic languages. Even so, it faces pressure from Russian in public life. Now, let's listen to a sample.
Ngob, Sidi, Yukaghir, Tiet, Samyang, Mat, Siu, Sinjit, Hasuyu, Yu.
Now, to Northern Mansi, or Mansilatang, a Uralic language of Western Siberia. Northern Mansi is the sole surviving Mansi variety, spoken in the Khanty-Mansi region and nearby areas. It's an agglutinating SOV language, and it functions as the literary standard for Mansi today. Mansi vocabulary is especially rich in words for traditional life like hunting, reindeer herding, and fishing. For example, it has around 7 different words for types of swamps. but it has very little social-political vocabulary, so newer 20th century concepts were often expressed through borrowings or word building. For instance, hospital can be borrowed as pulnitsa, or described as pusmaltankol, meaning curative house. Mansi traditional life is closely tied to forest and river environments in the north. Northern Mansi communities are small and concentrated in western Siberia. Cultural continuity is maintained through local networks and traditions. Forest environments shaped seasonal activity and regional knowledge systems. Isolation helps preserve unique linguistic heritage. Speaker numbers are low and transmission is limited. Northern Mansi is the main surviving variety, so loss would be irreversible. Now, let's listen to a sample.
Aqua, Chitil, Hurum, Nila, At, Hot, Tat, Nyololo, Ontolo, Lo.
Last up, in Skalds Sami, spoken by the Skalds Sami people in Finland and Russia. It belongs to the Sami branch of the Uralic language family, and it has about 330 speakers. One attested and well-documented unique feature of Skalds Sami is its suprasegmental palatalization, meaning softness can apply to an entire stressed syllable or foot, not just one consonant. This palatalization contrast is phonemic. It can change word meaning, and it's often written with a prime mark in linguistic descriptions and dictionaries. Skalds Sami communities are centered mainly in northern Finland and parts of Russia. The language is tied closely to Skalds identity and community institutions. Northern landscapes shaped a strong place-based identity. Traditional knowledge is preserved through community life and oral continuity. Speaker numbers are low, so revitalization work is essential. Community-led support has become a major part of its survival today. Now, let's listen to a sample.
Õht, kuiht, kolm, nelja, viit, kuut, sisem, käyts, oauts, why.
So there you have it, 13 Arctic languages, from Greenland all the way across Siberia. And every single one proves the same thing. The Arctic doesn't erase culture, it preserves it. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe, because every language matters. And I'll see you in the next language story.